Real talk, the metaphor messiah, man. I got this one. Let's go. You ever seen the morning star? Mr. Metaphor Messiah, back to show you who we are. I represent a legacy, a pothead like the 70s, a different kind of mind. They say we only speak in melodies.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dead on Dave coming at you live from Germany. Now, whether you are just trying to get to sleep on the West Coast, or are fully asleep and maybe just waking up on the East Coast, or if you are hanging out having a good old time over here in Europe, I got you covered, man, because we've got your copious Raw review for last night's SuperStar Shakeup. Now, as you guys know, I couldn't go live during the event. Unfortunately, last night, Monday seems to be the day now where my internet service provider just says, screw all you Germans, I don't give a crap, we're just gonna do it late at night. You should be asleep anyway. Germans go to sleep early because you're such hard, industrious people. You go to sleep early so you don't need the internet at night. So they just decide to screw me right up my butthole, and I'm not able to do my Raw reaction that I planned to do last night. But SmackDown should be a go for tonight, and I will be here live for that. Well, hopefully. There's a caveat to that, because if you don't know, it is my and my wife's 14-year anniversary today, and we do want to do a show together. We're going to probably bust out the roulette wheel of doom and all kinds of stuff, but that's later on. So the rest of the day is going to kind of be up in the air, and we will let you know exactly what's going on. But what is not up in the air is right now at Monday Night Raw. And I appreciate everybody who is here joining us right now. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I know that the time is odd and all that, but I think it's well worth it because we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, and indeed we will be taking calls through Discord, and I'll probably open up Skype as well. Just depends on how the night goes. So first things first, Monday Night Raw. Let's start. We'll get to the SuperStar Shakeup in just a moment. Went a little bit different than people thought it was going to go in some regards. We're going to talk about all that, but you know why I'm laughing. WWE orchestrated one of the biggest hatchet jobs, biggest hit jobs, biggest beatdowns in the history of wrestling last night on Roman Reigns. I guess this is his cooler. I guess this is going to be his time away. I don't know. And they also kind of made something very clear to me last night, something that I already kind of assumed was true. The Undertaker is not done. That was not a retirement. If the Undertaker was retiring, they would not be using the words like alleged and suspected, and all. They wouldn't be using it. He's not retired. He will be back. And I have a feeling the only thing that was retired was the gimmick. I think when he took off the hat, gloves, and jacket, all that meant was that he was going to be no longer that Undertaker. It's going to be time for a change for when the Undertaker shows back up. And don't be shocked when you hear dead man walking. You done it now. You're gonna make a big mistake. Yeah, you know that's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you. We have not seen the end of The Undertaker. I'm convinced of that. And I think that they kind of let us all know that with the words that they use. But I digress. This was about Roman Reigns last night. Because all the wrestling was fine. I actually enjoyed a lot of the matches that happened last night, but that's not what this show is going to be. We're not going to be talking about all of the matches. We got two things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this Roman Reigns beatdown, and then we're going to get to all the moves that happened last night and why they mean a little bit more than you might expect. Roman Reigns, in the middle of an interview with Michael Cole, gets absolutely shit whipped once again by Braun Strowman. And then Braun Strowman throws Roman Reigns a good 12 feet through a goddamn table. How amazing was that? I mean, really, it was quite incredible. And that was a great throw. And then some really good camera work by WWE. Very subtle switch. The crowd bought it, especially. They're live in the arena seeing that throw off of the loading dock, I guess. in the back. That was pretty cool. Obviously, they switched and all that, but they did a really good job of making it look good as they possibly could have, because obviously Roman Reigns is not taking, nobody is taking that type of a bump. But how about the crowd with the "you deserve this"? The crowds are dicks, man. Oh, but it was funny. And then Braun Strowman with the ludicrous tipping over of the ambulance. I mean, okay, there was some physics fails last night for sure, but still very, very good stuff. I thought they did a great job of instantly reestablishing the value of Braun Strowman. Now the question becomes, does he stay on Raw? After everything that happened last night with everybody coming over, it went different. This was not a standard draft. There was no podiums. There was no deals, no handshakes. Daniel Bryan did not appear. None of that happened. All that really happened all night was people being introduced from SmackDown, being brought over. Nobody was given their walking papers and said they were going to be leaving and going to SmackDown the next night. This was actually really, really smart of WWE. This was actually a brilliant, maybe the most brilliant way of handling the entire situation when you think about it, because what they did was they made both shows not only important and individualized and showing that even these GMs won't even be shown on the same show together, but they also made both shows can't miss, because they showed all these people who showed up. So now the question is, with Raw seemingly being loaded, well, who's going to SmackDown? They just lost a litany, a plethora of stars. So who's going to be showing up? It could be anybody. But before we get to the list of people who showed up from SmackDown to Raw, let's talk about who didn't. The big elephant in the room, AJ Styles. A lot of people were expecting it to happen. I've gone back and forth with it as all the reports have shown up. It now does not seem to be the case that AJ is coming to Raw. Now, he could be the first guy, to be given walking papers tomorrow and say, no, you are going to Raw, ha, ha, ha. But why wouldn't you give us that moment on Raw? Why wouldn't you close the show with AJ Styles debuting? It just doesn't make sense. So almost 100% sure AJ Styles is not switching brands now. And that's not the worst thing in the world, because what we did see last night is a few other interesting tidbits from everybody who showed up to people who seem to be now aimless. Gallows and Anderson, for example, seem to have absolutely no storyline now with the inclusion of new tag teams and such, and we'll talk about that in a moment. It seems like they have absolutely nowhere to go on Monday Night Raw, so it makes a lot of sense for them to be going to SmackDown, and they're not alone. Yes, we got to see Finn Balor in action on Raw, but it was against nobody, and nobody attacked. It was against Jinder Mahal and his suspected steroid use. By the way, Jinder Mahal responded to everybody accusing him of roids, and he denied without ever denying. He did not, if you read his statement very carefully, he doesn't deny shit. He says, I've never had an issue with the wellness policy. Seriously? I believe that. There are ways to get past stuff like that, but I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just saying his body looks awfully suspicious. I'm sure he works ridiculously hard, but seriously, playa? Come on, man. I'm just saying. But that's nobody for a returning Finn Balor, and with no other storyline circling around him, it makes all the sense for both he and Gallows and Anderson to show up on SmackDown tomorrow night. And that would mean, of course, the formation of a super club. Both former leaders of the Bullet Club on the same show with two prominent members of the Bullet Club. It's too enticing not to do. The only reason why I would say don't do it and just bring AJ over is because, at least for the time being, even with the hurt Roman Reigns, you have the entire Shield on Monday Night Raw. So maybe that is something that they're building towards in the future. I'm not sure. I really don't know at this point. And that's kind of why this entire situation worked so well last night. So those are all the things that happened that were not direct moves and movements. Let's talk about those who did move. Let's talk about some of the minor moves first. We got some announcers changing places. Now this did not happen on Raw. It happened after Raw, and that is David Otunga switching places with Byron Saxton. This is a lateral move, as they're both awful. They just switched token black guys. I don't care. I really don't. They're both awful. Byron should not be on the booth. He is a wonderful interviewer, wonderful backstage interviewer. He does a great job in that. That's where he needs to be. I want to see Byron and David Otunga replaced. Bring in whoever you want. Renee Young would be one of my choices, but obviously you need some kind of former wrestler in there as well. I don't know. But the point is, Otunga and Saxton both are awful. So maybe a change of scenery will work. I don't know. I don't really care. Some of the other moves that we saw, Apollo Crews is now on Monday Night Raw. That should be good for him. Reestablishes value. Didn't have a great run on SmackDown, so it's time to see what he's able to do on Raw as this roster starts to turn over. So that'll be a lot of fun to see. We also saw Kurt Hawkins. Who gives a crap about that? He gets automatically beaten up by the Big Show. Big Show only comes out now and gives people the WMB and walks the hell away. Kalisto is now on Raw. That's the only good thing about that, is the fact that you would think that he's going to 205 Live. The problem with that is I got a feeling the entire 205 Live roster might be moved. The entire division might be moved tomorrow night, because we didn't get a huge move. We didn't get anything crazy happening tonight on Raw. So I think something major is going to happen tomorrow night. And with 205 still happening, being shown live right after SmackDown, it just makes sense for them eventually to move over. So the entire division moving over would make sense. But then the Kalisto move doesn't make sense. So I don't know. You would think that putting Kalisto in 205 Live would be something you'd want to do. I just got a feeling that the Cruiserweight division might be moving over. It would not shock me one iota. Slater and Rhino, they are the tag team that moves over from Raw to SmackDown. May not even be a tag team for all of that long. I'm surprised they're still together, to be completely honest. But those are all the minor moves. Let's talk about the major stuff that happened. We'll start with the women. I called it correctly with the two SmackDown women being called over. There was a bunch of different names. The second name that was going to be with Alexa Bliss, it did turn out to be Mickie James. Mickie James, Alexa Bliss coming over, changing the landscape a little bit on Monday Night Raw's women division. I like both of those pickups. I think it's a very smart move. You got two completely different types of women that are showing up. Should be a lot of fun. And they did a lot of crazy shuffling last night. A lot of good storyline building last night with all the women. And we're going to see what happens tonight on SmackDown, when Charlotte almost certainly is coming over, and who knows who else. But definitely Charlotte. Maybe Emma. I got a feeling we could be seeing Emma as well after her little weird thing with Dana last night. But it is what it is. But that's what I got a feeling we're going to see there. I like the new look of the women's division. Should be a lot of fun. What else do we get? Mickey, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt now having his eyes set on Finn Balor was the one thing that they did do with Finn Balor, but that was kind of like not an open challenge to Finn, but just something. I think it was just an obvious place to make Bray's debut. So maybe that is the one saving grace of why you can make the case that Finn's not leaving Monday Night Raw. And maybe AJ still does show up. Maybe he does. Maybe he ends up getting his walking papers tomorrow night. Maybe they want to do one more in-ring angle with him and Bryan and Shane, and he just gets fired or whatever the case may be. Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me, because they did. I forgot. They did put this caveat in there about a possible storyline in the future with Bray Wyatt. Crowd popped pretty hard for Bray, even though his title run eventually, really didn't amount to much. He still could be taking the title back off of Randy Orton in this. House of Horrors match that will now be on Payback, even though the champion isn't a part of Raw yet. But still, I got a feeling we are going to see Bray Wyatt as the champion, as the WWE champion after Payback. And why do I think that? It's because of another move that happened. The Miz showing up with Maurice. That was the setup. Dean Ambrose being the clincher there. Dean Ambrose showing up at the exact same time with the Intercontinental Championship. That means Raw controls both United States and Intercontinental Championships. So how does SmackDown counter that? Well, Brock Lesnar. Like I thought, I think we are definitely going to be seeing that now. Without Roman Reigns being in the mix, a major name needs to show up on SmackDown tonight. It needs to happen, and Brock Lesnar and that Universal Championship needs to be that big move. That'll be the big shocker. That'll be the big crazy thing, because all of a sudden, Raw has no world champion. Well, Payback, Bray Wyatt wins the world title, and now he is the Universal Champion on Raw. It makes all, or excuse me, the WWE Champion on Raw. It makes all the sense in the world. So that's what I think ultimately will happen there. But having The Miz, having Maurice, having Dean Ambrose, all of that, it seems to be a good mixture of people. Chris Jericho is going to be taking on Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. He won't be winning it at Payback, but we'll see one of those guys. We'll see the probably United States Championship and Kevin Owens move over to SmackDown more than likely. We'll see that happen tonight. So overall, I think that Raw did pretty well. Apollo Crews, Miz, Maurice, Dean Ambrose on the Intercontinental Championship, Kurt Hawkins, Bray Wyatt, Kalisto, Heath Slater, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, David Otunga, and Byron Saxton. Those were all the big movements. What I liked about it is just the fact that while we got a nice new reshuffling of the deck, the bigger moves, I think the moves that are going to be much more noteworthy are the ones that are going to happen tonight. I think that's pretty damn smart. I think it's a pretty cool thing that they're doing now, because you got to watch SmackDown, because the big pop, the big move didn't happen. No AJ, nothing like that. So the question is going to be, who's going to be showing up on SmackDown? Who comes over? So I think that was pretty damn good, smart booking by WWE of not blowing their load in one night. And once again, making all of the shows seem more important. I like that. I thought it was very interesting and smart at the end of the day. Very smart. And while you don't have the huge moves, you do have a nice reshuffling of the deck. You do have new storylines that can be told. You have new wrestlers that are going to be in there. We also had a Drifter sighting, although nothing official, nothing formal. I have a feeling we'll see him on SmackDown, drifting into SmackDown as well. So that'll be very interesting. One thing I do want to bury is the Long Island crowd. Overall, they were pretty bad. I didn't really like the crowd too much. I thought they were kind of craptacular. I don't think Raw was bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think it was a pretty good Raw. But again, Raw and WWE collectively has this thing where they kind of build something up to be a little bit more grandiose than it probably was going to be. And I think that's going to upset some people, because Raw, while it was solid, and I do think the wrestling was fairly good, there was nothing earth-shattering. Now, again, I gave you my reasons why I think that was a smart way of going, because save that for SmackDown. They're going to really try to hit hard tonight. Brock Lesnar coming out. I mean, they didn't even make reference to Brock tonight. That tells me everything I need to know there. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be pretty cool. Let's look at some of the matches real fast of what actually happened. Miz, Maurice, Ambrose segment was completely fine. New Day and Revival, great match. Now the question is the New Day on their way out? A lot of people seem to think so. I'm not so sure. Well, you know what? Yeah, I am pretty sure of it now that I think about it, because I was not so sure under the guise that I was 100% sure that Gallows and Anderson are going over. Now I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I don't know what's going on. Plain and simple. My brain is racked. There are so many things that could possibly be happening. I'm surprised I got as many of the calls right as I did, to be completely honest, because they're doing a good job of keeping you guessing, keeping you on your toes. It's pretty damn smart. because I don't know anymore. I want to say that I think that AJ's still going to show up, but it wouldn't shock me if they go something big and bring the entire club over tomorrow night. Or maybe Finn Balor simply stays on Raw and Gallows and Anderson still shows up on SmackDown. I don't know, man. You could do either way. You could literally do either way. And the reason why I'm hopeful that the club in some formulation is on Raw simply is because of the fact that the Shield now exists on Raw, even though Roman Reigns will probably be out for some period of time. I really don't know. Anyway, I loved what the Revival did with the New Day, especially that finish. It was amazing. It was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. Not a bad match whatsoever. Some intrigue in the 205ers, Neville and TJ Perkins. TJ Perkins with the heel turn last night. Long overdue. Hopefully the stupid video game gimmick dies with this turn. Goodbye, video game music. I love video game music. You know, I'm an 8-bit guy and all that. You know, I love video games. But it doesn't work for TJ. Doesn't work. They gave him such a good persona in 205 Live. It was badass. The music was great. All of it worked. Go back to that, and they hit the reset button with him now seemingly aligning with Neville. I love the entire situation they did with him, Aries, and Neville. Aries and TJP actually had a really nice match last night, too, that nobody's going to remember, but still, very nice match. We talked about the Kurt Hawkins thing getting knocked out by the Big Slow. After that, the Seth Rollins segment was very good. I enjoyed that. Seth Rollins officially not leaving Monday Night Raw. There was a big tease of that happening. Kurt Angle coming out to officially congratulate Seth Rollins. That was a nice touch. Seeing these guys together, I like that. I thought that was a very good thing. It was a great thing to friggin' do, people, is what it was. Man, I can't talk. Why does anybody watch me? Well, nobody is right now, but still, why does anybody watch me? I couldn't tell you. I'm awful at what I do. Kurt Angle and Seth Rollins, really nice moment. And then the Samoa Joe beatdown, attempted beatdown of Seth Rollins, showing that feud is just beginning. And that can be a lot of fun. And you know what? Kudos to Seth Rollins, man. He could have taken a little bit of exception to Samoa Joe and vice versa. With Seth's knee getting injured like that, you could make the debate of whose fault it was. After I've looked at it a lot of times, yes, Seth was supposed to fall back and everything, but Samoa Joe did fall to the side and not to the back, so I think ultimately it is on him. So, I don't know. But still, no hard feelings, no bad blood, and they're going to continue their feud. And that should be a great series of matches between those two. Can't wait to see that. So, that's a lot of fun. We saw a lot of different things that happened. Oh, Charlotte and Nia. That was a nice match. That was a really hard-hitting, physical affair. I love Nia with the wild, fiery hair. That is a lot of fun to see. Charlotte does everything she can with Nia. Nia is a very difficult woman to wrestle because of her size and her power and everything. So that's going to be pretty damn cool to see how they capitalize on this and how they work Charlotte's story now that she's lost again. She's going over to SmackDown. Does she lose a little bit of her swagger? Obviously we haven't seen for sure that she's going to SmackDown, but I think all signs point to her going to SmackDown. Her and another woman, someone else on the roster, minor move, but she's going to be the big get for SmackDown, and she's still incredibly over. I'm very excited to see what she's coughed, choked out my spit a little, but that's okay. It's going to be very cool to see what she's going to be able to do on SmackDown, chasing an accolade, a belt that she has yet to win yet. Should be a lot of fun. But I did enjoy the match between Nia and Charlotte. We talked about Finn Balor, Jinder Mahal. Not a lot to the match. More physical than I thought it was going to be, with Finn actually wearing a couple, almost look like demon horns, ironically enough, due to some of those big-ass forearms by Jinder. And the funny thing, that's what those red marks were. That was Jinder's veins, his pipelines, his oil rigs just embedding themselves into Balor's head. My God. And that was, of course, where we got to see the Bray Wyatt introduction, talking about his match with Randy at Payback. So a lot of people, I think, assumed, well, I think Bray just gave away that Randy's coming. Randy's not coming. They're just going to have a match on the Payback card. Why? Because Bray will be winning the title back from Randy more than likely and being Raw's champion, the WWE champion. So, because I'm telling you, kids, Brock Lesnar tonight, SmackDown. It's happening. 100% sure. Not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. Never say never and never say always. Sami Zayn and The Miz, nice little match out of those two. I don't know how much I love the entire Miz and Cena gimmick anymore as far as The Miz continuing to make fun of Cena and dress like Cena. I don't know. It's all right. I'm more interested in seeing The Miz in the ring and doing some of the things that he's been doing lately. Again, still copying moves from other people like he's doing with Daniel Bryan at the moment, but it was a good match with him and Sammy. It was a fun little thing. Marie showing once again her value. It was good. I enjoyed it. Sami Zayn getting wins. I also enjoy that. Keep that happening. Of course, we talked about my favorite thing, and I think all your favorite things that happened on Raw, and that was friggin' Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. Before I talk about that, Beast Pedro, Nia botched a couple of moves. Why? Okay, here's what I don't understand about this. It's like, why does everybody always want to make such a big deal over? They were minor botches. Look, everybody botches. Almost zero matches are 100% clean. If you go and you watch every single match, you're going to be able to nitpick and see things that happen in matches that are not perfect. Why? Because it's not real. They are trying to work safe, but look as realistic as humanly possible. And when you're walking that line, mistakes are going to happen. Now, some of it is due to walking that line of safety, and other is because people are not as good and not as sophisticated and not as refined as others. I don't really think too much of that. Any of the botches that I saw in that match with Charlotte and Nia. Beast says they were dangerous botches. No, they weren't. They weren't dangerous botches. If anything, Charlotte botched her moonsault. That wasn't on Nia. Charlotte came short. That was on Charlotte, not Nia. Nia maybe could have got under a little bit more, but if Charlotte comes out a little bit further, ain't no problem. I don't blame Charlotte. I don't blame Nia for that one. Anyway, JJ Lopez, watching Dave and work today is going to be a good day. Boom. I don't know. I don't even know why I continue to acknowledge some of the things. Anyway, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, my favorite thing on Monday Night Raw because it was insane. Ludicrous, but insane. Absolutely ludicrous, but insane. I would like to believe Braun Strowman really could tip over an ambulance. I want to believe that. Because that was just baller. So we talked about that. The do nothing 8-man tag happened. It was just all about the Hardys, which I have no problem with. Kind of a write-off of Gallows and Anderson. So again, it's hard not to assume that the club is not going over to SmackDown, especially with no obvious signs of a storyline for Gallows and Anderson. I don't know. The Drifter, once again, we do see the Drifter on stage. I don't know if that necessarily means he's going to be on Raw. Expecting the Drift into SmackDown as well. They like to be weird with this guy. We'll see how that continues in the future. It was nice to see the Hardys do their thing, though. They're vintage. It's straight up vintage. And then right at the end of every little pose that Matt does, he throws in a delete. I like that. Okay, we got the women's segment after, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James show up. That was a good little moment there. Bliss finally saying what everybody wants to say about Bayley and Sasha. And it looked like Sasha was going to turn heel, but never does. Does not once again. And Alexa Bliss instead kind of cuts them both down. So glad Alexa Bliss is on Raw. That should be a lot of fun. Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose main eventing Monday Night Raw. I think a lot of people expected AJ to show up at the end there and kind of end on a huge bang. That did not happen. We did get a nice solid match though. Ambrose hitting Dirty Deeds for the win eventually after a nice solid match. Not a great match because we've seen this match enough to know what they're going to do. Two very solid workers, so it was fine. And there was nothing wrong with that. It was was a decent way to end with Chris Jericho. You would think that Chris Jericho's last major moment was going to happen at WrestleMania, but I think they want to give him a proper send-off on a pay-per-view that isn't the grandest stage of them all, so it's not kind of lost. We know that he's going away for a little while. Who knows for how long with Fozzy very soon here. But to have one final hurrah with Kevin Owens at Payback should be a lot of fun. Jericho stands tall to end Monday Night Raw. So there you go. There we go. So, decent Raw. Overall, not a bad Raw whatsoever. Maybe not as crazy as some people would have liked, but I don't think there was anything wrong with it overall. So we're going to jump into the Discord. You can come on in, hang out, and jump into waiting to call if you want to sound off on Monday Night Raw. If not, I understand how early it is or how late it is for some of you. So no hard feelings on that. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew my feelings on Monday Night Raw. Now, based off what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day and tonight, not exactly sure. As I said at the top of the show, it is my 14-year anniversary with the copious wife. Yes, 14 years ago today. My wife with my fat chud of a baby inside of her, just a few days before I was getting ready to leave for Iraq, married me because, she was pregnant. And unfortunately, that baby did not come to fruition. But we do have another fat chud of a child who is now turning 12 years old in just a couple of days, actually. On the 15th, my daughter turns 12. So 2 years later, we end up having that bundle of fat joy anyway. So good stuff there. So we got a very celebratory week goings on for the old Copies family. Also, on the 13th of April, I hit 15 years. 15 years here in Germania. So kind of cool stuff. So what does that mean for the rest of the night? I'd like to tell you 100% sure that I will be doing SmackDown Live reaction, and I very well might. The only question is, what condition will I be in for that show? Because the copious wife and I, who's once again pooping on the toilet with the door open. Hi, how you doing? We're going to do a show tonight. We are going to do something with her and I. We're going to probably bust out the Roulette Wheel of Doom. It's going to be a good night. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk. We're going to reflect. It's been an interesting 14 years. We've not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes. She's made a lot of mistakes. More than she'll ever admit to, of course, because she's a woman and awful. But we've gotten through everything together. And I've lived for 34 years. And I can honestly say that the easiest 14 years of my life have been with her. Yes, I've had to take a rubber lover because she will not give me her vagina any longer. But still, it's a small price to pay for walking through my life with my best friend. Utter pain in my ass, but my best friend. And now she's got sad face. Well, like, I'm about to make her cry on the toilet. Okay, so we're going to definitely be doing something tonight. So get ready for that. And then who knows what happens? SmackDown may happen, may not happen. Who the frick knows? It doesn't look like we're going to get any calls, so that makes my life a little bit easier. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick little review of Monday Night Raw, and we'll see what happens on SmackDown tonight. Should be a lot of fun. One way or another, if I'm completely passed out drunk and maybe got a little actual real life vagina, maybe I'll be asleep. Who the hell knows? But if I don't worry, you will get a show tomorrow. More than likely, you're going to get the wrestling review battle. We'll do SmackDown and Raw together. SmackDown will probably still get its own little focus as well. I don't know. So there you go, guys. Thank you very much for joining us right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Make sure you're checking out everything that's going on in the community, including Real Talk to Metaphor Messiah. Yes, Real Talk to Metaphor Messiah's got a brand new song getting ready to drop. You want a teaser for it? I got a teaser for you. Check it out.
Real talk, they gon' know the name. Cause if you step up in this cage, then it's war game. Time to stand up. Ladies, put your hands up. Wanna lock me up, but I'm too smart for they handcuffs. Got a bad bitch, she swear to God that she be feeling me.
That's right. War Games is going to be dropping on Bandcamp as a single on the 20th. 420. Suckers, grab your blunts and grab that single because it's straight fire. I've heard it. You heard a little bit of it right there. It's fire. So go check that out. Cannot get enough of that. But that's not the only promo that I have for you. No. Because if you've been paying attention right here, you guys know that tomorrow night is the last night that you can get this month's Wrestle Crate. If you are in Europe, if you are in the UK, if you are in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, you can get Wrestle Crate. And if you get Wrestle Crate UK and use promo code DeadOnDave, you will save 10%. But don't take it from me. Here, Will Dillon made an amazing video that explains even more.
And now, coming down the aisle, an unboxing of WrestleCrate.co.uk.
I'm just too sweet.
Oh my God, it's so sick.
And the World Heavyweight Championship, Jay Lethal versus Noam Dar. Whoa, that's just the first disc, man. The Kevin Owens Show. That's an awesome Funko Pop. Oh my God. If you guys want to get your own Wrestle Crate for next month, which is supposed to be straight fire as well, go over there. Go over there and get it. It's reasonably priced. There's all kinds of different packages that you could choose from, starting at like 12 pounds all the way up to, I think, a 24-pound box for the Ultimate Crate. I mean, come on. It doesn't get much better than that. And when you do it, and if it's your first crate, go ahead and use promo code DeadOnDave and get 10% off. Yeah, thank you, Will Dillon, for that amazing promo. So there you go, 2 promos in 1. That's all I got for you guys. Just, I wanted to make sure you watched that. Hopefully you did. And you go ahead and go over to Wrestle Crate. Links in the description. Go ahead and click on them and use promo code DeadOnDave. Boom. Save you 10%. There it is. Thank you very much for joining us right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Check out Jeff Huffman, Grand Slam 87. Tommy, and not Grand Slam 87, excuse me. Huffman's Hangout now on YouTube. Check out my good friend, my buddy, Tommy C over on Tommy C's SFTP. He'll be live again tonight like he always is, doing his thing, and I'll be live almost directly after him. So make sure you're checking all of that out. There you go. We'll see you next time. Keep it copious, folks. And as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends or an amazing supportive wife of 14 years. It helps too. We're out.
Here's your winner,